To all of our non-binary friends, to everyone on the spectrum and in between, welcome to another episode of The Shutter Show. My name is Ken Stack, and with me, as always, is the incredible David. That's your cue. Say the words that you're supposed
Hi, it's David Marlowe. How you kids doing? Sorry, Ken. Just pouring
David,
my necessary double glass of wine here because this
is oh boy.
Oh,
Is this a movie and a half? Oh boy,
we're visiting Trauma Lane, baby.
Oh, we are.
Make it a double.
Everyone out there, we are discussing the 2015 movie, The Invitation, directed by Karyn Kusama, and oh boy, is this a whole movie? And
oh man, I am Ken. First off, I am perfectly fine if this episode goes over because there is so much to talk about. So first, let's start off with the pleasantries. How the fuck are you, good sir?
I am doing okay. I am not gonna lie. This movie affected me. I've been having a minor panic attack kind of all day. So for our listeners at home, fun fact, I have PTSD, and oh boy, did this movie unleash some feelings. And
man,
it was good, but like also bad, but also good. But oh boy.
Yeah. But if anything, movie, but no, I think because of that, and I think you made a very good point. I was very happy that you decided to, push through and be like, fuck it, we have to record today because I think it makes it more relevant. Like, today, it feels like today's sort of a mental health day for both of us because I took the day off of work to literally go to drive 2 hours to Fort Wayne so that I could find a psychiatrist who would actually fill my fucking Adderall prescription, because every doctor you go to asking for it says, I'm sorry, I can't, because the state says it's illegal because all the meth heads want your fucking meds. And they look at you and talk to you like you're an addict every time you say, hey, can you fill this prescription that helps my brain work? And then you just have to jump through hoops once a month.
Yeah, this medication that I've been on for like a decade that like we all agree is fine, but like some people aren't fine with it, and that's why they abuse it. But that's not me, because I've been on it for like a decade and I can control myself. And
yeah, the psychiatrist was weird too. He had a weird obsession with Vikings. It's I go into his office, everything that wasn't literally every art piece that was in there was Viking or Anglo-Saxon related.
That seems problematic.
Yeah. Like, the psychiatrist was weird. He was kind of cold. His bedside manner wasn't exactly the best. Granted, I don't think I've ever met a psychiatrist that I've enjoyed in terms of their company. They're a little cold. Cold and collected.
Confirm.
But yeah, I mean, granted, they have the worst part of the job, which is just being like, yes, you can have this medication. They're the guardians of the prescription booklet. But no, like, that being aside, like, as of right now, this is, and I say this in the healthiest way possible, this is my prescription for this evening, talking about this film. And I can say that and be perfectly fine, because on the poster is a giant glass of wine that's got a broken rim with Mr. Green sitting right in that fucking wine.
I want to say I cannot conceive of a situation that would make me more uncomfortable than the situation in this movie. Mm-hmm. This is every anxiety nightmare I could possibly imagine melted into one, with like all of my biggest traumas. And
and neither of us have children either.
Yes, which is wild. Well, I mean, it's not that crazy that we both don't have children, but just wild that
No,
like
it's understandable for at least for
yes.
me.
David, do you want to tell the kids at home what this movie is about? Like what?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Do
what
we
happens in this
say
movie?
so? So did you say you said the title correct?
The Invitation. Yes, from
Yes.
2015.
Yes, from
Directed by
Karyn
Karyn.
Kusama.
Yes, director of uh, Jennifer's Body and also Aeon Flux for some reason. But also
Yeah.
to the people out there, to the Aeon Flux historians, please email me. Tell me what you know, because here's what I do know about the Aeon Flux cartoon show. So I have a long relationship with Aeon Flux. It is a show that I definitely saw in my formative years, but I mostly knew the other like show that was on um, the MTV animation block at that point, which was the Max, which was this really weird, cool, homeless, insane superhero show. And then also the other show that was on it was this weird show about butts. Like that's the best way I can describe Aeon Flux, because it was just a show about a
Butts
woman.
and tongues.
Yeah, it was butts and tongues and flexing and anime and and pushing the limits of
Death by a nail in the foot and falling from a large building.
just
It's weird. I forgot that Frances McDormand's in the Aeon Flux movie.
Yeah, so it is clear to me that Karyn Kusama had some sort of vision for the show, because she also got Charlize Theron to like be in this movie about butts, but also her like one of her big things was clearly like maybe not so many butts. And I think Charlize Theron was like, yes, that sounds like the best way to try and fix this show. But
Yeah,
also
like could we not hypersexualize this whole cartoon, which is the essence of it is hypersexualized.
But also when you get the
also
when you get the DVD now, it's the producers and Charlize Theron and the other stars of the movie, and no Karyn Kusama. She is not on the commentary track.
From what I can tell with Karyn Kusama, like she thrives best when she's doing indie films, which is definitely what The Invitation is.
No,
and anytime she has a large studio budget or even like moderately large studio budget behind her, I think a lot of this comes from her being a female director. Is I think a lot of producers find that they can kind of push her around and make certain demands of her. And I that sounds, especially with Jennifer's Body, like I think that was one of those things where marketing hardcore took over that situation and made it what it wasn't supposed to be.
I think a huge chunk of it also is Karyn's just way ahead of the curve. And as a result, most of the producers are like, this is really pushing boundaries. And you're like, yeah, like a good director should. And they're like, because like, man, like, and I cannot stress this enough. This movie felt like it crawled out of my brain today. And this movie was made in 2015.
Yeah. And if you look at her credits too, she's done a ton of, like, if anybody who's watched the show Yellow Jackets, she's also directed a couple of episodes of Yellow Jackets, which is getting rave reviews. She directed Nicole Kidman in The Destroyer. She is a genuinely talented.
Oh yeah, she's directed episodes of Billions. Like she's dope. Like she's so good at her job. I want to call the police, because it is criminal how underutilized she is.
She also directed some of the best episodes. Like she directed 2 of the best episodes of The Man in the High Castle. So she has her hands in a lot of different pots, both in film and television. And this, I've watched a couple of interviews with her in regards to this film that we're talking about, The Invitation. And this was like a film that was 5 years in the making for her. Her husband wrote the script.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and they co-produced it with a friend of his, and she directed it. And it was I think like just $1 million budget, or relatively around that general area. And it was done quickly. And she had to prioritize when they were filming this in this house, which, by the way, she said was quite run down, and they had to make look like it was taken care of.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
And so she talks about the idea of, because they were so limited, they literally only had 2 days of rehearsal in that actual location.
Oh, wow.
So like, they rehearsed a little bit with the actors outside of that, but like they only had 2 days to go through the shot list, to walk all the actors through all the different actions. And then throughout this limited amount of time, she had to pick which actors she was going to focus on, which works so well because most of this is told from the perspective of Logan Marshall Green. And every once in a while through this film, and I'm going to try my best to keep spoilers down to a minimum, at least until we get halfway through this, because you can't really talk about this film without diving into spoilers. But, there's several points where he leaves the party or leaves the room to be by himself. And because she had to, it works really well with her having to pick between who she wants her shots to focus on, which members of the party she wants to focus on in terms of looks. And because of that, it almost makes Logan Marshall Green seem more isolated. And it actually worked in favor of the story and the film and all the different characters. And this is a just spectacular cast.
So it's like, I didn't even, the lady who plays the Asian girlfriend in this, I could not figure out where I knew her from. It was one of those things, is like, I know her, what show? And it turns out she's on Community. She is the episode where Pierce.
Is that where she's from? I was getting that familiar vibe from her too.
Yeah, no.
Michiel Krusiec, right?
Yeah. So it's the episode where Pierce is trying to get married to the other big cleaning wipes empire, and she's the Chinese heir to the moist nap empire in China. and it becomes this whole thing where like they're both like, yeah, we're using each other, what's the big deal? And it was just and John Carroll Lynch is incredible in this movie, and somehow he is John Carroll Lynch is somehow the Zodiac killer, and also the incredibly supportive husband in Fargo. I do not understand how one actor is able to do both of those things. I cannot think of two more disparate performances. I don't understand how you just are these two disparate things for this whole movie. It's an incredible performance. It's an incredible cast. The casting is all perfect. From just like a movie standpoint, but it's also perfect from like a group of people in LA standpoint.
Oh, also John Carroll Lynch being like the sweet brother in The Founder, like one of the McDonald's brothers, like
but like one of the good ones, not Ray Kroc. Like incredible. Like it's so good, and everyone in this is so perfect.
Well, and it works because it's so wonderfully contained. You could easily adapt this into a stage play.
Oh, 1000%. Like if I was a high school drama teacher, I would be like, I am absolutely going to ruin this spring by putting on this. We are going to do this show.
You could almost swear this was a Tracy Letts play.
You know what I mean? Like it's so contained. It's not flabbergasting to me that this movie came together very quickly, that her husband wrote it. Like this is the perfect movie to write and shoot quickly in Los Angeles. It has everything that Los Angeles has in spades. It's got a big house in the hills. It's got this weird cast. I love the line where he just says like, look, it's just LA. They're a little weird, but they're harmless. And you're like, no.
But what's great is though, like this could also like this story could be done in any city. But in one of her interviews, Karyn Kusama talks about the fact like this is my LA story. This is sort of my tribute to the weirdness of LA. And Ken, you and I, you know, I'm like myself having lived in LA for 7 years and you for more than that for sure. How long have you lived in LA now for?
I mean, like I lived in LA for 7-8 years and now I'm going back. And this is like the perfect amount of time to have both been to LA and then been away from LA to realize how much this movie is LA.
Yeah. Right. And you and I have both, and I'm sure you have too, but I've been to some of these weird, eccentric dinner parties. Specifically in the Hollywood Hills where you can't seem to find fucking parking, and
where every house is $1 million, but there's no reception and the internet doesn't work.
Exactly.
It's the weirdest part of town.
The most believable thing about this whole movie is everyone being like, "Are you getting reception here?" No, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, no, I completely believe that. You can't fucking get reception in the Hills. It's impossible.
I've worked for legitimate millionaires who live in houses where they don't have internet service. And I'm like, well, why?
I've wondered that, like, with all the fires going on, like, why do you want to be in the fucking hills at all? There's nothing, there's almost nothing convenient about it outside of your house.
There's one road in and out of town. If you want to go to the gas station, it's 40 minutes if you're lucky. You don't have reception. The internet sucks. Parking is a nightmare.
Catches fire, the fire truck can't get up those narrow fucking swerves.
It's so bizarre. David, I think it might be time for us to tell the audience a little bit about some of our pasts. And that's
let's dive into
this movie. David, if I am correct, you helped a lady escape from Scientology. I have been the member of no less than, I believe, 2 Catholic cults. I have PTSD. We are perfectly. It is crazy how much
this movie hits home in so many fucking ways.
So many ways, David.
Oh, well, like Ken, the whole thing that you're talking about with Scientology, and it's like, here's the thing: I don't even necessarily know if I rescued this woman from Scientology, but I for sure could have been one of the actors that rescued her. And if you're wondering who I'm talking about, I am talking about Scientology casting director Valerie Haney. Little fact about me is just to make ends meet, I did a bunch of extra work and commercial and promotional work for the Church of Scientology.
As you do.
It's I'm trying to if there's any actors in Los Angeles or any production folks in Los Angeles, you most certainly recognize the name Golden Era Productions, and that is the casting notices that always pop up on the casting pages, and it's always the Church of Scientology, and they pay real fucking good. Like every day you're getting at least $250 a day plus gas, because it takes like 2.5 hours to get out to this giant pink castle in the middle of fucking nowhere, filled with exotic animals, intricate sets. Like I was on the most professional set that I've ever seen, and it was a Korean POW camp. And every time I went there, Valerie Haney, the casting director, who was the sweetest curly-haired blonde woman I have ever encountered, almost friendly to a point where every single guy on set was like, I think the casting director is hitting on me. I'm like, no, she's just a Scientologist. Please take your ego out of this process. She's not trying to fuck you. She's just trying to recruit you. But I know for a fucking fact that I was here at this moment And if you watch Leah Remini's little series about Scientology, like she features Valerie Haney's thing, and she talks about when she realized that she was in a cult. And it happened to be one of the days that I was on set with her, and it was during the POW camp, and that shoot was touching up on recruitment methods that the North Koreans use, or just that was going on during the Korean War. Excuse you, Ken. But so they were going over the recruitment methods for the Korean army, and that was what made her realize she was in a cult. So I was on set on the day where the light bulb clicked. And so what she did was she hid herself towards the end of a shoot, and it was a night shoot, and I've been on several night shoots. Was she went around the parking lot just as things were wrapping up, looking for any actor's car, and we all parked in the same general area, looking for any actor's car who was comfortable enough to leave their door unlocked, and then she hid herself in the trunk. And this poor actor
of your car,
or could have easily, it was, thank God it was not my car, but it wasn't. No, so I did not help her escape, but it could have easily been me.
Yes, I just want to be clear about the details of what exactly happened, because
precisely. But no,
and then we'll get to my cult stuff. That's
no, for sure. But so she found an actor's car, was able to pop his trunk open and hid in his car, and apparently they realized that she went missing before he left, but they never checked his vehicle. And so he unknowingly smuggled this casting director out of there, and did not realize it until he pulled into his LA apartment and went to go, get his stuff out of the back. And she was banging on the trunk, and she's like, "Please, I'm begging you, don't call anybody. I'm going to go find somebody, thank you for getting me out of there." Can you fucking imagine how this actor must have fucking felt?
No,
and she was on the run from Scientologists, and they were trying to,
but I can say no, but
they were trying to literally track her down and convince her to come back in so they could physically keep her there against her will. Scientology is a fucking cult. They are evil as hell, and this movie reminds me so much of not only Scientologists, but of the fucking Manson family.
It's the Manson family, it's Amway, it's all of that culty camp groupthink nonsense that sets off so many things with me.
And Ken, one of the things that cults, they prey on people in transition, and especially people who are going through trauma. And you always you go to any documentary about any particular cult, and who the person is being interviewed, they went through some horrible traumatic thing, or they're running away from something, or they feel like they're not living up to their own standards. They are searching for something. Every fucking cult finds that little piece, and they just pick it apart, and they do something uncomfortable around that person that gauges just what they can get away with and just how far they can push this person. And then they find out who they know. And then they're like, "Cool, we need you to bring in some more people." It's fuck. I hate cults, but I'm fascinated by them. But this movie pissed me off in so many ways, in terms of just man, oh fuck cults. Just and in general, organized religion. I will respect anybody's particular religious beliefs. You are entitled to believe what you want to believe, and I am not going to speak otherwise against that. But in my experience throughout my entire life, I have seen organized religion as simply just a way to extort and control people to do things that they don't want to do. Or find themselves.
As someone who has been the member of a couple of two Catholic cults, one, the Knights of Columbus, And then the other one, Joy.
Oh shit, the Knights of Columbus? Are you shitting me?
No.
Wait, you never told me this.
Yes, no. So yeah, no, man.
You said Amway at one point, but you never said. Go on, good sir. So sorry.
Yeah, no. So like one of the guys that I went to high school with, his dad was really big into Knights in Columbus, and it was like, oh, it's this social group and you should check it out. And my parents were always really big into church, so like it seemed like a good move. And all of a sudden I found myself in a room with a bunch of dudes chatting Latin. And it was real like, oh no, what have I done? This is not no, whoa. Hang on. I thought this was like a church group, like we're gonna talk about, I don't know, our parents or something. But no, I was not expecting to chat
like Latin. A men's group where the guys go out fishing and they talk about God and shit.
That is,
my mom's church has that.
Yes, no, I was expecting like a big talks about like, you know, the greater picture and fishing and, you know, and like some sort of Mufasa Lion King speech about how you know the fish and the predators live in
ours was our men's group is literally called the Fishermen.
Perfect. Yeah, see, exactly. Perfect. Exactly what I was expecting. And instead I got chatting in Latin, and it was real like, oh,
ooh, the Templars, right?
Fuck. Like with Jesus Over Youth, that was that was me being in high school. I feel like that was like they did all sorts of weird wake you up in the middle of the night and then make you join like a dinner thing, and then we all like talk and we all like admit things that we've done wrong. And then like we all,
and that's just so they have, and that's all.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of that with Scientology specifically, like they ask you to like to talk about things that you've like things that you've done and things that you've gone through, because they hold that over over you, and they blackmail you with that shit.
Yes, they absolutely do. And yes, that is 100% like that is every experience I had with this. And I can't
well Ken did, like, you remember I told you when I worked as a scenic carpenter,
yep,
one of the guys on my crew, and I think I've talked about this in one of the episodes, and I'm not going to mention him by name.
Didn't he murder somebody?
It was an assisted murder, Ken.
Yes, and he helped.
And to be more specific, he helped skin a man alive.
Yes,
and,
all right,
and,
good.
And who was he helping with that? He was helping his father, who was the literal cult leader.
Mm-hmm.
And
good stuff.
went to jail at 17 and was literally going to serve 25 years, but because he was tried as a minor, they let him out in 10. And he was the most well-adjusted person at the shop, to be perfectly honest. Like,
I cannot begin to explain how casual a text that you sent me when you were like, by the way, a guy on my crew might have helped fillet a man alive. And I was like, all right, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to need some more context. What?
Yeah.
I'm going to,
no, he was born,
David.
He was born into a white supremacist doomsday cult.
Yeah.
And he openly talks about this. He's done several interviews. Like there's been a couple of not Lifetime, but they've done a couple of, God, what's the Investigation Discovery things? Like he's done a couple of interviews with them. But his father was the leader of this white supremacist doomsday cult. And it was just kind of one of those things where, you know, his dad was losing control over his group, and it led to him eventually taking some of the people who were pushing back, and one of them like some fucked up shit happened. Like people were forced to have sex with livestock.
What? David?
Yes. Yeah, no, like the dude that he murdered, him and his son were forced to have sex with a couple of the farm goats. And this is before they shot his son, his toddler son in the head, and then filleted a man alive.
David, I thought I was admitting a lot when I said I used to sell Amway. When here we are, but also,
when
Jesus Christ.
when you really put a collection together of all the fucking shit that I've come across in my life, man, I'm ready for a boring life now.
David, we both have a cornucopia of trauma that I don't think either of us was really aware that we both shared, but also that's why we're best friends, right?
Yeah.
BFFs, like,
yeah, PTSD buddies.
Yeah, that is us, ladies and gentlemen. So yes,
you and your muggable friend.
Yeah, you're David. Oh man, we're unloading the stories. How many times have you been mugged? Like 3 times?
Over 4 times.
Over 4 times.
And I have been clear. Over 4 times, and in one of those cases, I was in a full-on knife fight. That's
first off, that's too many times.
I say knife fight. It was literally over in like 5 seconds. It was just
no. So let's be clear. This was you stabbing somebody who was trying to knife you, right?
Slicing more accurately. It's like he went to stab me, and I pulled his arm. I pulled his arm across, and literally, I knew he was following me. And in Chicago, everybody carries a knife on them. It's just because nobody has a car, so you're walking from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. There is a legal limit to the length of that blade has to be. It was a homeless dude. Dude made it very obvious that he was intending to do something. But when I turned around, he had his fucking knife out. He saw that I saw him. He literally looked exactly where his blade was going to fucking go, which is right into my stomach. And I caught the blade of this doped up homeless man, pulled it across, and my knife went across or up his wrist. All I can say is I know what it looks like when someone's tendon gets cut and their arm automatically just pops back. Like that's, I can say for certain, and I know we've gone way off topic in regards to talking about this movie, but yeah, no, it's people, we've seen some shit. And this is why we do the Shudder Show about horror movies and not about romantic comedies.
This show is completely off the rails. I want to say hi to Riley and her mom.
Hi, Riley.
Enjoying listening. I don't know what's happening anymore.
I've heard so many good things, Riley. Can't wait to meet you.
I from what I understand, David is admitted to some felonies. I have been in a cult. David's also been in a cult. We've also been invited to too many parties in the hills that we were both very uncomfortable with. David.
Yes.
What more do we have to say about this film other than
so much?
Everything. This movie hits so many notes perfectly. In ways
there's so much going on with this film that the little stinger at the end, the little, which I'm not going to say right away what it is, that almost meant nothing to me compared to everything else that I fucking go. This is the most uncomfortably amazing film I've ever seen. It is so uncomfortable.
It is such a good slow burn. And you don't, it is actually the perfect encapsulation of what this party is like. Because we haven't really recapped the movie, even though I think I asked you to do that 20 minutes ago, David.
You did. Ken, I'm going to let you do it. I've talked enough.
So,
by all means.
Okay. So Logan, Marshall Green gets an invitation from his ex-wife, who he had a child with, who has died under unfortunate circumstances.
Never really address what it is.
They never really flush out the details. What's very clear is that their child died. There was nothing they could really do. It was an accident. Maybe if one of them had been paying more attention, maybe everything would have been okay, but also probably not. It seems like a real, and again, they're not really sure on the specifics, but it seems like a real, our kid had an aneurysm kind of a problem. Not a he slipped and hurt himself, not a he ate something that he shouldn't have, there's nothing we could have done. That's what happens.
Yeah. And this movie is the perfect example of show don't tell. They don't beat you. It wasn't apparent at first what the situation was. You kind of walk in with a bunch of strangers. The only people that you know off the bat, which, by the way, I got to say, how this movie starts off is brilliant. You start and I'm going to, a little spoiler here, a little bit, like this is Death Cult for sure. Death Cult. But with that being said, the movie starts with a car act, like with him hitting an animal on the road, and he puts it out of his misery. If that isn't the full encapsulation behind the theme that this movie is, and it's just like, and even like they bring it up, like we hit an animal, and my boyfriend had to kill it himself, and David, what's his name, the new husband, the guy who's now living there, was like, well, it was suffering. You had to put it out of his misery, which is literally what that whole fucking party is about.
I mean, it's and also like, and the casting of the new husband is incredible, as he's like this weird mirror version of Logan Green.
What is it, Michael Huisman? Is that his name?
Like his whole look is so clear. Like it is like the episode of Friends with what's his name? Not with Russ.
Ross and the new girlfriends. Where
Jennifer Aniston is dating just David Schwimmer.
Where the producers are like, we need one black cast member.
Well, no. This is the one where she's literally dating David Schwimmer, but he's got a fake chin.
Oh,
so like it's literally he's being replaced. Like it's just, hey, don't you see that you're just dating the guy that you were dating? Like it's so like the casting is in like their casting to me is perfect. So like David, here's another thing that we're gonna have to talk about that's a little uncomfortable. So part of the reason that you are not a famous actor, because I've seen you act and you're quite good, is because Logan Marshall Green also stole your face. And like and I just mean that in the way that like if what they want is someone who looks like you, the problem is they already have a Logan Marshall Green.
And then someone also continuously steals Logan Marshall Green's face, and that is Bane. What the
Tom Hardy.
Yeah. Like Logan Marshall Green is the cheap man's Tom Hardy, and I am the cheap man's Logan Marshall Green.
Yeah, it's the same thing as that happened with like Lily Sobieski and Helen Hunt. We're just like, oh, do we need to cast Helen Hunt's daughter? No. Well, then we're good. Oh, well, also, do we need to cast Lily Sobieski's mom? No, then we're fine. Like we already have you. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes you're George Clooney and they're like, hey, we need a new Cary Grant. Or you're Brad Pitt and somebody's like, oh, but we need to do Robert Redford. But,
and the great thing about Logan Marshall Green and Tom Hardy is they both have this talent for just having so many fucking looks. And I've been told this too, like where like literally I grow a beard and I look like a completely different fucking person.
They're both weirdos, which is the best. Like it's the same thing that people had a hard time with Brad Pitt with, where they were like, but you're a weirdo character actor. And he's like, but I'm the prettiest man who's ever lived. And they're like, okay, yes, but you're also the prettiest man who ever lived. Can you just be that? And he was like, I mean, I guess, but I really want to be weird for money.
But can I please do Fight Club?
Yeah, can I please do Fight Club? Can I please do Burn After Reading? Can I please do Fisher King? Like, can I please just be a weirdo for money? And finally,
he's getting old enough now where he can finally fill that role of just being the fucking weirdo.
Well, he can just produce. Like, it was like nobody wanted to let Tom Cruise do his own stunts until he was like, fine, I guess I'm just in charge now. And now you can't tell me no. And they were like, fine, money man, do your producing stunt.
And they're all just like holding their breath. You're like, God, if this guy dies, we all lose our jobs.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite of J.J. Abrams letting his incredibly untalented son write comic books. It's nepotism good, nepotism bad. It's being in the club good, being in the club bad. It cuts both.
Logan Marshall Green, by the way, 100% could play Charles Manson.
Oh, 1000%. And also, this movie is like, I could not design a movie in a lab to be more perfectly directed, like on the quick,
at
in
you.
the back. Well, like in my back pocket on what I knew I could find from vaguely successful people in like LA. Like the house is big, but it's not too big. It's starring famous people, but no one famous. Everyone's good.
Yeah,
it's
not Nicole Kidman on this one.
Yeah. Meryl Streep does not show up for a minute to just destroy everyone. Like everyone is a consummate professional. This movie is a lineup of baseball players all hitting doubles, not singles, not triples, nothing incredibly fancy, just the most proficient baseball team you've ever seen in your entire life. Everyone shows up, everyone does their job, everyone does their job better than they should, and then everyone goes home and everyone was happy about it. You know, like in a way that didn't happen with Aeon Flux. Everyone got paid all of the money on Aeon Flux, and everyone showed up, and some people did their jobs, and some people didn't, and some people did it well, and some people didn't. But everyone apparently went home a little mad because, well, clearly the director wasn't invited to the commentary track, and that can kind of only mean one thing, which
that means there was some real butting of heads in terms of creative control.
That means everybody had a good time, but the director and the producers, which tends not to be good. David, I cannot stop talking about how good this movie is. Let me get just this one little thing out.
Oh, so, absolutely. Yeah.
As someone who has PTSD, something that kind of drives me nuts in movies is when trauma is relayed to be this thing that gives you a superpower. And that superpower is I can just snap necks now. Like as if like John Wick was a caring, loving person, and then like his wife died, and now he can just snap a necks and everything's fine. That is
can heal from a fucking stab in the stomach.
Yeah, like his superpower becomes he doesn't feel, and that's not what PTSD is like. And let me be real for a second. Like what it is, at least for me, is realizing how fallible we all are. And I just love the moment where Logan Marshall Green just turns to his girlfriend and says, they're just people. That, to me, is the perfect encapsulation of what this kind of trauma does to your outlook. What it means is not, I don't see people as people. I see people as just people. They're not monsters. He's not Michael Myers. He's not John Wick. He's just a bag of soup.
And and once things start going off, you like immediately things go wrong.
Oh, everything goes bad. Everything goes wrong. It's so messy. No, like nothing about the plan being rolled out goes well.
Well, when John Carroll Lynch is coming up the stairs with a gun, he doesn't look confident. He looks genuinely afraid of pain.
He's like, oh shit, I guess we have to do this now. God, like
this was supposed to be easy. I get like Lindsay Burdge's character Sadie. Her first thing is you're ruining everything.
Yeah,
is the perfect encapsulation of her character. By the way, like she is the deviant. Like she is the deviant. John Larrow Lynch's character Pruitt is the enforcer, and oh gosh, what are the? And then David and Eden are the brainwashed.
So all right, quick questions, quick aside. Is this a series of archetypes that you are referencing? Because I just haven't heard this group.
This is way. Just like, I don't know, like in researching this, I've also, and I've watched a whole bunch of different documentaries in terms about like cults and everything. And there's always, outside of the leader of the cult itself or the leaders of the cult itself, which usually tends to focus around one man. Yeah. There is the archetypes that happen are there. Like there's always an enforcer. There is always a deviant, and there are always the brainwashed.
You have taken a lot of acting classes, and I know you have paid a certain amount of money for those. So if there was
too much money.
Yes. So if there was somebody's classes that we needed to discuss, I wanted to know who that was. But no, but
there's sense. Yeah. But there are definitely the strangers to the group that aren't part of that friend circle. And that is Sadie and Pruitt. Pruitt is intimidating. He is, and you constantly see him doing these little asides with David. Like he is trying to keep him on task. He is the fucking enforcer. And Sadie is just chaos. She is like, I will fuck everybody here.
Oh, she's running around with no pants.
Yeah, but literally the first shot of her is full bush.
Well, but in a way that you're not even sure
what's her edge.
Well, you don't even know if that's actually happening. If this is just this is just a hallucination that Logan is having, because let's be clear, Logan's connection with reality is shaky.
Yeah, but he's also an unreliable narrator.
Well, he's unreliable, but he's reliable about saying that he's unreliable. So Logan is never going to lie to you, but he might tune out during the most important thing that you need to see, and that might be why bad things happen. You know what I mean? He's not. Because most of the time when you talk about an unreliable narrator, you are talking about a Tyler Durden, someone who is actively fucking up the narrative, who is actively lying to you. And
see, at the beginning of this film, honestly, because my wife watched this with me, Katie watched this with me. At the beginning of the film, first you come across Sadie. She is the first stranger in the group. And the first edge that she gives is it's a sex cult. Yeah. And they're at a swingers orgy. And then it's a key and then Pruitt comes into the mix, and you just goes. And then when Pruitt comes in, you're like, okay, this John Carroll Lynch just added a whole nother layer to this where I feel like he's gonna snap my neck.
Is there more perfect casting for someone you're uncomfortable with a sex cult than John Carroll Lynch? He is the perfect, of course that guy is in a sex cult, but also
he was the Zodiac killer, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Yeah,
I'm glad that he's having a good time. Does that make sense?
He pulls the trigger a little too easily.
Yes, exactly. That is the best way to put that.
But God, he has by far the best monologue in this whole thing, where he talks about his wife. Yep. Masterclass in acting. Masterclass fucking monologue.
No notes. The only monologue that maybe is better, that is the John Sayles monologue about anal probes, which is the most amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the one you're talking about.
Yeah. It is the most sincere monologue that takes a hard left turn about 90 seconds in.
Almost every acting class, if you are an actor and you go into an acting class, you know the type I'm talking about. There is always there is always at least one middle-aged actor that is a man there who is too old for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But
still hits on everybody.
But still collectively hits on all the younger ladies.
But
he's the one that creeps everybody out. He is the one that you.
But not in too creepy a way. It's always the appropriate amount of flirting that you can get away with as a creepy old man. And let's be clear,
just enough to be off-putting. Yeah, just enough to be off-putting to the point where you don't grab drinks with him alone.
Yes, like to the point that you have to ask your professor about it, and your professor has to talk to them, but then there never needs to be like a big class. We all just decide.
And the teacher, this is the monologue you want to give that actor.
Yeah, and that is exactly the John Sayles butt plug, or sorry, anal probe. David, how are we not brothers? This is such a specific rabbit hole that we have run down.
Oh, Ken, I love you so much.
If you don't know what we're talking about, I need you to just Google John Sayles anal probe monologue.
You are in for a fucking treat, let me tell you. God damn it, Ken. This might be the most fun I've had for one of our episodes. But no, like, it is a giant testament to this film. And we haven't even touched on the grief aspect of it. We've talked mostly about the cult stuff.
Yep.
Like I want to
Fish, by the way, is the movie. In case our talking has been too cryptic, the movie Passion Fish, written by John Sayles, who I've talked to and shaken hands with, and who's a very nice man, wrote the best monologue about anal probes and acting maybe of all time. Anyway, David, go on. I'm sorry, I'm just clapping.
Oh yes. Oh no worries. I got you, but no, like we haven't even touched on, because this film covers so many fucking bases, so many themes. So but the big one is outside of cults and outside of the idea of like how they thrive on traumatized people and how that is their niche. This film dives into the culture of trauma and what is a healthy way to process trauma. And you are asking yourself, like, you know, is this person right? Like, because there are points where you're just like, well, and everyone kind of has a moment that evening where they're like, well, does David and Eden have a problem? They both seem quite content, and Eden lost a son. But she seems like she found something that worked for her. But then you come to realize, no, she's just denying almost that it ever happened by saying, and again, you can push this over to over 2,000 years of Christianity and Catholicism and any other religion on the books, and says, like, when you die, you are going to go to a special place where all the people that you love, that you've lost, are there, and they're going to welcome you and they're going to love you. This is an intense version of fucking hospice, and it is toxic as fuck. It denies people the humanity of grieving, and it is good. But it has such a cryptic mask on that says, this is the healthy way to deal with this. Why aren't you on this program? All the while, Logan Marshall Green is looking at this and you're like, I'm sorry, did I miss the part where we're still grieving and we're still trying to fucking figure this shit out?
Like, I kind of feel like the only way that you could make this movie more now and more resonant would be, because like, so we never meet the cult leader. We see him on a computer. We see him through videos.
They shot all those the first day, by the way. Those. They shot all of those in the first day, and they cut it together in a single night so that the actors could see it for the first time.
Yeah. So, like, the only way that this movie would be more precedent would be if this was a TikTok cult. You know what I mean? Like, if they were just like, you know what I mean? Like, but look at the positivity. Look how. No. But I've come to terms.
But if you look at your palm, you can see the initial, the person that's going to be your soulmate.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and like, all right. So like, I want you to just imagine now you're at this party, right? And then you find out that John Carroll Lynch is there because they're friends on TikTok. And then you find out that like every other person that you don't know at this party is just some weird TikTok mutual. And suddenly this like I am already a very suspicious and nervous person. And I want to be clear. I am a 6'2", 200-pound white man. I am not a tough guy, but like I am pretty safe. I am not to be easily razzled with. Like, even if you want to razzle me, I'm just gonna be a pain in the ass to fight. I have really long arms. I'm just heavy. Like, I'm just not designed to easily be fightable. And
whereas I am the most muggable person on the fucking planet, apparently.
Yes, David, you've been mugged like 10 times. So, but like, I would not drink anything out of this house that wasn't tap water, that I didn't see come out of the tap, that I had Googled the brand name of the tap and knew that the tap fixtures were sold at Home Depot, because I just wouldn't trust, oh, you got one of those Brita filters on there? That's definitely full of poison. Oh,
well, there's the point where they're like,
yeah.
they're pushing the wine on, they're pushing the wine on people. Like, this is expensive fucking wine. If you don't enjoy this, you're missing out. And again, to the point, like, Logan Marshall Green's character is not necessarily dealing with this trauma in an unhealthy way. He's not at the bottom of a bottle. Anytime he's offered wine, for the most part, with the exception up to a point,
goes and drinks water. Yeah.
He rejects it. He's not an alcoholic. He's just a grieving father.
Yeah. He's just like, yeah, no, I've done the whole drinking thing. I really just don't want to go have a cry in the living room right now. So like, I would just prefer to have some water. I'm actually being here. I'm being very present.
If anything, he is the healthiest person there.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, the gaslighting in this movie is
chef's kiss.
Yeah, just chef's kiss, perfect. And I want to be clear, like, I'm obviously not pro gaslighting, but in this movie,
man, that was some sweet gaslighting.
Yeah, like the way they make him feel like it's such the perfect encapsulation of the Reddit thread, am I the asshole? And in this particular answer, the answer is actually nobody. It turns out everybody else here is.
I'm happy to tell you that for once, you're the most sensible person here.
But that's exactly what, and like, it gets everything right. It's just, it's like the fact that people come up and talk to him, and then he's like, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. And they're like, I'm sorry, you're right. But I want to let you know that, like, I haven't been talking to you because, like, I was trying to give you space, but I might realize that is giving you too much space. So is that too much space? And he's like, I'm sorry, I was distracted. And then being like, ooh, okay, well, this is awkward. And like, that's so perfect when, like, what you want from people is to have space, but they want to treat you like a baby. But what you just need is to be treated like an adult who sometimes needs to admit that I need to be treated like a baby. Like, does that
every single character
so complicated?
Every single character pulls Logan Marshall Green aside to be like, hey, I know I wasn't there for you the past 2 years, but I'm here for you now if you need anything.
Yeah, I'm here today. Is that okay? And him being like, I guess, thanks.
Yeah. And you know, he handles it maturely. Like, but he is also like, his character is a very no nonsense person. And he's like, he recognizes that his ex-wife Eden is off. Just there's something not right.
It's that thing where you're like, look, if there's one person here who's going to be able to recognize that something is wrong with her, it's me. I'm her ex-husband. That is, I understand that person.
It's like, what do you mean you looked into like her pills that she was taking? He's like, I'm her fucking ex-husband. I know when something's off.
It's exactly that. It's, I know this person so much that I have to marry them. And then also, fuck, I need to get away from this person. Like, it is an understanding of something and a person that I don't think people who haven't been married can really understand, because it is seeing somebody for all of the endorphins and then also seeing them without a single endorphin. It is seeing them on Sunday morning at 5 a.m, no makeup on, and just, that's who they are. And that's the person you married, and that is the bargain that you made. And I don't know what to tell you other than, here we are.
There is some serious imposter syndrome that goes on in this film, especially with the character David. And it's like you are an imposter, and like you're calling our home yours. You're not calling it ours. You're calling it yours.
Yours.
It belongs to you. Suddenly my wife belongs to you. She doesn't belong to anybody. She didn't belong to me. She now belongs to you. Like, I do think we really need to talk a little bit about like the wife in this, and that's Eden. And it's the yang to the yin of the grief spectrum. And this is somebody who she needs to find that outlet because she can't live otherwise.
Well, she needs to find forgiveness. And she has found the only way, in my opinion, because I'm not her. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's clearly what she needs. She needs to be made whole for what this event happened.
Yeah.
And
she is the result of what happens when the cult comes across the traumatized.
Yeah. Well, and also when, like, so it's not like John Carroll Lynch's character where like he clearly did a bad. Like he got very mad. He might be telling the truth about how much he had to drink. We don't know because we just have his perspective, right? But like at least from John Carroll Lynch's perspective, what happened to him with his wife was he had a bad night, things got out of hand, and now he can't take it back because a bad accident happened. And we see that also happen with Logan Marshall Green's character. But we see enough of it in his flashbacks to know that, like, yeah, that's pretty clearly what, you know, like it wasn't his fault. We don't know the details. We don't know the specifics, but we do know he did not get drunk and hit his kid.
And
he did not drink too much. Like
the director had enough sense to show snippets of the past, not like a full-on fucking scene, just little tiny blips of not just their life with their son, which is a very sweet, tender moment of just two parents bonding, like in the bathtub together, and their son comes in who got woken up. Like that's a very sweet moment, but also their relationship with their friends and just how they were so tight with their friends and how they would come over for those like little weekend get-togethers and like they would celebrate their friends' kids' birthdays. And like chances are they were all there when it happened. So there's like a shared guilt, but outside of that, these two parents feel so alone. And I think she feels so isolated. And like, she has no idea what to do with this fucking grief.
Well, it's she can't accept responsibility, but also at the same time, she can't get past it. So she's just, so she's just ignoring it. Like, so the line for me, and this isn't a spoiler, but this does come at the end of the movie. And she just says, "Take me outside." And that's all I'm going to say. And to me, and he said, and Logan Marshall Green says, "Okay." And it's such a stupid, small consideration, but that is what being married is like, and being married in the past tense. It is realizing a thing is difficult for me, but realizing the other person needs it and willing to do it anyway because like, and it's
that's the promise you made.
And the spoilers, I guess. The last thing she says is "I hope we," and that is
he finished that sentence.
I know.
You know he knows what she's saying.
You know what she's saying, but also, is there a better metaphor for an unfulfilled marriage than saying "I hope we" and just trailing off? Like that
it could be anything. I hope we meet again.
I mean, it could, no, exactly. That's what it is. It is the start of a sentiment with no follow through. It is like, "I will love you in sickness and in health." but also I gotta bounce. Does that make sense? Like that's exactly what it is. It is an unfulfilled commitment that we decided ride or die to the end. And all you could say was, I hope we, and then you couldn't follow through. And I didn't realize how perfect and on the nose this was until I watched. Like, this movie almost gave me a panic attack. This movie was like staring into the abyss.
We almost didn't do the episode today, but you insisted.
I don't know how Karyn Kusama crawled into my brain like 7 years ago and then made this movie that is my exact physical, like my exact mental landscape right now, from the tuning out to the fact that I used to have hair like Logan Marshall Green. Like, we had the exact same beard and hair. Go look at my Instagram. You can see, like, John Carroll Lynch and his wife were married for the same amount of distance that me and my ex were. There was like the one character in this movie that who I relate to the most is named Ben. Like, this movie fucked me up on a real personal level in a way that I can't describe. And then there's also just like
Ben being your brother, right? Like, yeah.
No, Ben. I'm just being Ken. And then the guy who I relate to the most is a Ben. And he's kind of the outside one, but like also he's like, this is fun, but he's the single one, but also he's like, this is a little weird, but it's just LA people.
I felt so bad for his best friends, Ben, played by Jay Larson, because there's such a tender conversation and there's also that crazy moment where Eden slaps him in the face for being a little out of line.
Oh my God, that's so incredible. Like, it was such a perfect moment of like, oh, actually, hold on, shit's fucked up. And your friend being like, nah.
She's not okay.
Yeah, she's not okay.
She's not okay, and it was such an LA thing to be like, no, everything's fine. We're just gonna ignore this thing.
What just happened? Exactly.
It is just, and we've all experienced the slap heard around the world right now with with Will Smith and Chris Rock, and everyone's like, everything's okay. Let's just give him the award and fucking move on and pretend the shit didn't fucking happen. Yeah. But then it's just the conversation that he has with him, though, where he just talks about like, hey, how are you and your wife? I think we hate each other.
Yeah. It's such
a healthy way to look at a collapsing marriage, though. I think we hate each other.
Yeah, it is the perfect examination of the last year of any any relationship between two adults, especially when something like kids are involved and taxes. You know what I mean? Where you have to be like, yeah, we hate each other. Well, we're gonna have to wait till we file next year and do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a bunch of matter of fact stuff that you have to deal with. And the fact that he's just so fine with it, it's clearly he's also wrecked, but it's also clear he doesn't want to talk about it. Like, it's like one of the other things that I love, just a tiny bit of casting. So like, the two gay best friends are both kind of swole and a little muscly and clearly the kind of guys who go to the gym. And when all this stuff happens, it doesn't help at all, because it turns out that that's not how fighting works. Like, you know, does that make sense? Like, it turns out
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, when it comes to fighting, being like a short, stout dude with an incredibly low center of gravity is actually way more scary than being Achilles from the movie Troy, because guys who look like Brad Pitt and Troy tend to get snapped over someone's knee because they don't have any support muscles. They've got a lot of very fancy muscles, but not muscles that
they got all the aesthetic muscles, but none of the practical muscles.
But none of the, you know what I mean? Like,
why as a carpenter, I'm gonna do just fine.
It's why when you watch a TV show like Arrow, they're like, oh, he doesn't go to the gym, he wiggles ropes in a warehouse, because that feels like actual
He
exercise.
does that little bar thing where he climbs up and then he doesn't quite know how to get back down.
Yeah, that's not
that terrifies me, by the way.
But that, yeah, no, like that kind, but like in that kind of exercise, I guess does look cool, but like that's not like you're much better off just swinging a sledgehammer around, like and just hitting a tire. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot, or just honestly, go chop wood. Like you want to be in the best shape of your life,
or for fuck's sake, just do some boxing.
Well, just chop down a tree with an axe. You will be in the best shape of your entire life. It's so.
Why do you think Vikings look swole as fuck?
Yes. Yeah, it's because all they did was cut down trees. All they did all day
to build their fucking ships, and then they spend the rest of that energy killing people.
Exactly.
Valhalla, baby.
God damn it, David! This movie's so good. Like I can't.
Man, Ken, you picked a fucking ringer, man.
We need to stop.
Well,
we need to stop talking about this movie because we need to eventually stop talking about this movie. But also, I don't want to stop talking about this movie. It's that good.
Well, I don't know why it took me so long. Like, no, I do know why it took me so long to watch this, because here's the thing. The streaming services continually recommended this film to me.
David, I recommended this movie to us no less than I think 4 or 5 times.
No. And you were not wrong. But then you watch the trailer and you and I both, having lived through our own spousal traumas, I just saw this as being like, this is more uncomfortable than I'm willing to put up with right now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I want to deal with like relationship tension kind of uncomfortable. And so I'm going to put this off till later. That is the only reason I didn't fucking watch this shit.
Well, it turns out that hopefully you've learned your lesson about not listening to me. Yeah. No, Ken, you are right most of the time. All right. Except when it comes to fish rape. Yes. No, I 100% will say I was wrong about your wife liking humanoids of the deep. I still think that it's worth watching, but I also will say I was also wrong about Soul Collector. I'll own up to that one. Yeah. I will also say sorry about the fish rape, Katie. My bad. Sorry about the fish rape, and I'm sorry we lied to you about Soul Collector. I'm so sorry. Yep. Well, David, is that a sewed? I think we sewed it. I think that's a sewed. This might be one of our certainly one of our longer episodes, because we could talk about this movie. I could talk about this movie for fucking days. Yeah. But we should probably move on to other things. All right. So there's 2 movies then I've been looking at. And so David, do you want me to so we have discussed before about how we're not going to watch movies we're not sure about. But I met a lady, and this particular lady said this particular movie was good. So I could recommend the movie that this particular lady has recommended, and then something I know that I have seen. And then we can hop into the time machine and see where this goes. However, my wife missed the time machine, so I'm perfectly fine with bringing the time machine back. So time machine it is. Do you want me to recommend a movie that I have seen, or do you want to roll the dice on the second movie? Oh, fuck. You know what? Let's wreck. Which one did you wreck? Oh, God. Have you heard of the movie? I want to make, it's a proper name, so I want to get that right. Okay. I haven't met this new lady friend yet, so I want to make a good impression. The Taking of Deborah Logan. I think I know this one. I know this poster. I've definitely seen it before. Old lady, right? Yes, I was told specifically, under no circumstances am I allowed to Google it. I am not allowed to read the wiki. I am not allowed to read the IMDb synopsis. I don't even know if I'm allowed to watch the trailer. So here's the thing. We're going to get in the time machine, David, and you're going to watch the trailer, and I still haven't. Because that's how much I'm rolling the dice on this particular lady's. You're a good boyfriend, that's why. Hey, let's not use the B word just quite yet. That's I mean, yes, that is in fact also the truth, but we don't need to make it podcast official.
We don't gotta start throwing out labels like that shit.
Yeah. We don't need to do that. What we do need to do is decide if you are gonna watch, we are gonna watch next week, session 9. Because I want to be clear, David, I'm recommending a fucking ghost movie. And we both know how I feel about fucking ghost movies. I hate them. And session 9 fucking rules.
Session 9 isn't a fucking ghost movie, though.
It's a haunted thing movie.
Not even that.
I mean,
it's a psychological thriller, baby.
I mean, sure. In the same way that Rosemary's Baby isn't a horror movie, just because Mira Farrow is raped by Satan, and that's not horrific to you, David, who thinks raped by Satan is like fun.
Hold on 1 second. You give me like 5 seconds. One moment. Hold on.
5, 4,
shit, probably 5 seconds.
2.
I'm in my 30s. I can't move like I used to.
David, I'm 40 and I climbed Stairway to Heaven. Do you have any idea how hard that was? What do you have?
Here's the thing. Happening? Here's what's gonna fucking happen.
Is it Rosemary's Baby on Criterion?
No, this is my time machine, baby. Here's what we're doing. I'm doing an impromptu thing. Ken, God damn it.
He's just going to drink Everclear till he blacks out.
No,
we're not going to remember
this, my friend, is my time machine.
All right.
And God damn it, we're doing a double feature, you son of a bitch.
Is that what we're doing? We're going to do both movies next week?
Ken, we are doing a fucking double feature.
Well, good.
Start the time machine.
Fine. And we are back. David, we have done, I want to check my work here. Nothing. We're just going to watch both of these movies next week. We're just going to double. Yep, that's what happened.
We just missed the time machine so much that, we just had to take a trip back for old time's sake.
I closed the door. The time machine disappeared. It reappeared in front of us. Nothing happened. Everything is fine. I'm great. You're great.
I'm spectacular.
How are you? Yes. No,
Ken, this might be my favorite episode so far.
This might be our best episode ever.
This is a fun one.
David, do you have any plugs to make pluggable?
God, babies, you can check us out at Shutter_show on Instagram, where I put up when we do a poll, I'll put it up there, but that's where I'm going to announce when our episodes go up. I swear at some point I'm going to start engaging with folks more. Shit be busy and I be lazy. You can also check me out at _DW Marlowe, where I get up to my regular musings, woodworking stuff, everyday life, kind of see what I get up to. But Ken Stachnik,
yes, me,
who rocks the stash, this fucking Stachnik. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ken Stachnik, KenStachnik. You can find us on Twitter at Shutter Show. You can email us at shuttershow@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube by just Googling Shutter Show, and our faces will come up where it's just this podcast, but you can see some very low res video of me talking in my bedroom and David talking in his bedroom. It's slightly less echoey than before, but still.
Excuse me, sir. This is my living room.
I'm sorry, but let's be clear. At Shutter Show, where the audio quality is never usually very good, but the content is always positive. That's who we are. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we miss all of you, and we want to let you know good night, good luck, and most importantly,
go fuck yourselves.
Good night, everybody.
Boy, love you.